Well, we all want to take care of our families in the best ways possible. But what would happen to your family if something happened to you? Would they be burdened with bills and debts? Would they lose their home? Would they have the financial security they need to carry on without you? Well, for many Americans, the answer to these questions is unfortunately no. But this problem could be remedied with the purchase of life insurance. The right policy has helped many people in their greatest time of need. In fact, let's listen to Sue's story right now. Sue and Jeff Needham bought life insurance when their daughter was born over 18 years ago, but they barely remembered having it when they were meeting with their agent to discuss shopping for a new homeowner's policy.
I remember meeting with our agent to update our homeowner's insurance, and we also told him our daughter was in college now, our second was in high school, our mortgage costs had changed, and he felt it was time to revisit our life insurance policy.
Jeff, a pharmaceutical researcher, and Sue, a sales rep, made a good living and enjoyed a comfortable middle-class lifestyle. But their financial obligations were considerable. So with their agent's help, they completed a life insurance needs analysis, which showed that both needed to substantially increase their coverage.
I remember Jeff wasn't real comfortable talking about life insurance. And he didn't think we could really afford to buy any more. But I was persistent. This was important. And because I pressed him, he finally decided to update our policy.
That spring, Jeff suffered from stomach pains, and the diagnosis was devastating: pancreatic cancer. He passed away 5 weeks later at the age of 45. Proceeds from Jeff's insurance were used to pay funeral expenses, medical bills, and credit card debt, and allowed Sue to take time off from work to grieve.
I think back to that day when we met with the agent, and I don't know where I'd be today if we hadn't updated our policy when we did. I now have an investment account that provides a monthly income. There's also money put aside for my kids' college education. This was such a blessing that we did it when we did. If anybody ever asks me, is life insurance important? I'll say it's one of the most important decisions you'll ever make.
Definitely just such a moving story, and yet many of us still think life insurance is a luxury that we simply can't afford. In fact, we hit the streets because we wanted to know what you think about when it comes to your life insurance. Let's take a look.
I would say it's pretty important, especially if you have family members that you're taking care of, like children, close people like that.
It's something that you get when you're older.
It's great for my kids. They can pay off their student loans.
I'm pretty young still. I think I'll worry about that later.
Well, if something happens to me, my kids are taken care of.
21 years old, and I don't plan on dying anytime soon.
It's a very important part of a married life. You have a wife, and anything can happen to the husband, and you want to make sure that if you have children, that everybody's protected.
I mean, I haven't thought about dying, so I haven't thought about getting it for now.
Well, obviously, some interesting thoughts on life insurance out there. Joining us this morning is Shayna Schulz, Corporate Relations Director for Allstate Insurance, and she's going to share her experience when it comes to life insurance. Good morning to you, Shayna. Welcome to the show.
Good morning, Danielle. It's a pleasure to be here.
Well, you know, we heard a really moving story about the benefits of life insurance, but we also heard from some folks who kind of have some interesting things to say about life insurance.
Yes.
Why do you think there are so many myths out there?
You know, I think it's because life insurance is a pretty complicated subject. I think most people don't like to think about their premature death, and so then they think of things like, well, it's too expensive anyway, or I'm covered by my work, or my personal favorite myth is I'm a stay-at-home mom, so I just don't need life insurance.
Well, let's go ahead and debunk some of those myths.
Sure. It's not affordable. So life insurance comes in all shapes and sizes. It's really very much what your specific needs are. And for the price of dinner and a movie each month, a 35-year-old woman can get some coverage for her family in the event of her premature passing. I get it through work. Yes, you may get it through work. That's very possible. But a couple things to think about. One is a lot of times those policies aren't portable, so it means if you change jobs, you're not going to be able to take that policy with you. The other thing is you want to find out how much your life insurance coverage is at work. Sometimes it's not really adequate to provide in the event of your death, so you want to make sure you check with a financial advisor to make sure that you've got sufficient coverage. My favorite one is, oh, I'm a stay-at-home mom, so, you know, I don't make any money, so I don't need any life insurance. Couldn't be more wrong. Can you just imagine what would happen if a stay-at-home mom wasn't there to do the cooking, the cleaning, the transportation of all the kids, and everything else that goes without being said? I mean, the financial and economic impact to a family in that situation can be tremendous. So absolutely stay-at-home moms have to take a good look at their financial and situation and make sure that they're covered as well.
I was reading an interesting statistic that stay-at-home moms make about $160,000 a year if you take into account everything they do.
Absolutely.
I do too. I've done that for a while. I didn't get paid as much. But are there any specific policies then that you would recommend for individuals and families?
It's a great question. The real thing about a financial life insurance policy is you really need to sit down with an advisor to make sure your coverage, because every person and every family is a little bit different. I'm particularly excited right now about a policy that Allstate just came out with called Good for Life. And Good for Life is a multi-benefit product that takes care of you and is designed to take care of you in the event that life goes well and in the event life doesn't go well. So for example, you have a death benefit and you can choose which amount is most appropriate for you. But there are other things that can happen in your life that can really financially derail a family. Things like a critical illness, a severe accident, the diagnosis of a terminal illness. These are things that can also put a family into real economic hardship. This policy has all those pieces combined. It also takes into account the fact that we're in tough times right now, and every dollar is really very, very much precious and has to be allocated for appropriately. If over the course of the policy you need to take a break from paying a premium, you can do that up to 6 times during the policy, so it gives you a little bit of forgiveness and breathing room there. Then, if nothing happens and you live a wonderful life and you get to age 65 and none of these tragic things have happened, which we all hope for, you get 50% of the premiums you've paid into the policy back in the form of a check into your name. And you also get a paid-out policy for $15,000 that will be used in the eventual death that we do have, maybe for final expenses or whatever else you need.
You know, it's a very unique policy, something I hadn't heard of before. Here's a question that I have heard. Do you have to pay taxes?
On a death benefit? No, you don't. They're generally income tax free. That's a great question.
Well, Shayna, before we let you go, is there anything else that you'd like to leave viewers with about the benefits of life insurance?
I think what I think of most, Danielle, is as Americans, we are obligated to insure our homes and our cars. We're not obligated to insure ourselves. But when you think about really what's most precious and what would be most devastating in the event that it was lost, it's your life. And that's the impact it's going to have on your family. I read a statistic recently that said 7 out of 10 American households that have young children would be in financial jeopardy if their primary breadwinner were to die. And that gets me, you know? So I think that as moms and as people, we really need to be thinking a little bit more about how important our lives are and make sure that they're protected in the event that we lose them early.
Absolutely. And the other thing is, it's a difficult conversation to have, let alone implement. So you've done a really good job of debunking the myths and really just sharing great information with our viewers. So thank you so much.
Thank you. It's been a pleasure to be here. I really appreciate the opportunity.
Anytime. And if you'd like more information about life insurance policies in general, if you'd like to get a quote, or if you'd like more information about a Good for Life policy, simply check out the website. It's allstate.com/Good for Life.